You know what's the most interesting part of today's video? Chimpanzees rarely fight with other primates, but what you're about to see today is the beginning of that war, or at least serve as a catalyst. Grab some coffee and let's get started. February 6th, 2019. Location, Gabon, the west coast of Central Africa. This is a country with a large area of protected parks. In one of them, a large group of 27 chimpanzees was seen attacking. Almost forgot. An unobtrusive reminder to hit the like button if you often forget about it. Chimpanzees attacked a group of 5 western lowland gorillas. The group had 3 adult females and 1 baby, led by a male silverback. It's worth mentioning that male gorillas of this species can reach 6 feet tall standing on their hind legs and can weigh up to 500 pounds, but their impressive size didn't help at all. The male really tried to defend himself and his group by fighting off the chimpanzees. He even tossed some of the attackers and injured 3 of them. But in the end, the male gorilla was defeated. The chimpanzees grabbed the infant from the group and beat it to death. After a 52-minute scuffle, the gorillas had to retreat, abandoning the infant's body to the enemy. In December of that same year, the chimpanzees attacked the gorillas again and killed another baby. What you see on the screen is a video recording of the attack made by researchers. I agree that it's hard to make out anything, but that's because the apes live in the forests, and getting up close to them to make super clear shots in the best traditions of National Geographic is simply dangerous. These animals are already fighting among themselves, and humans definitely shouldn't interfere, not even get closer. Moreover, the second time the chimpanzees fought with 7 gorillas, the fight lasted longer, about 79 minutes. It's unknown whether the same chimpanzees were involved in the first fight or if they were 2 different but equally aggressive groups. In any case, the question remains, why? What for? What could have caused these attacks? The thing is, chimpanzees and gorillas usually coexist peacefully where their ranges overlap, that is, in the tropical forests of Central Africa. Essentially, the 2 ape species successfully avoid each other and even feed on fruit from the same trees without any conflicts. However, chimpanzees aggressively defend their turf against other chimps, and the group had just come back from patrolling before the first attack. Perhaps competition for food did cause the confrontation. And what might the war between chimps and gorillas look like if it turns into these occasional skirmishes? Well, in the fight I described, the chimps clearly had the upper hand. The fact that they came back from patrolling means they were in a fighting mood and ready for a fight. There were way more chimps than gorillas, and it was the chimps who attacked. And if this had never happened before, the gorillas could have just been caught off guard. Anyone would be caught off guard if their neighbor suddenly jumped them after just exchanging polite hellos. But if it comes to a real war, chimps might lose their advantage. So who will win then? So let's start by taking a look at the opponents. Chimpanzees usually range from 35 to 65 inches tall when standing straight. Males can weigh up to 154 pounds, while females can weigh up to 110 pounds. Like gorillas, they occupy much of Africa's tropical jungles, and their diet includes plants, fruits, or insects. But unlike their peaceful primate cousin, chimpanzees are aggressive and have a tendency for violence. I'm not even exaggerating. Violence among chimpanzees is quite common, which suggests that these animals are basically inclined to kill. Yes, most of the aggression chimps show is aimed towards their fellow chimps, but that's only for now. Up until now, chimps haven't attacked gorillas, which means there's a first time for everything, especially if the animals seem completely unable to control their violent impulses. Although chimpanzees are generally smaller than gorillas, they have incredible strength. During chimpanzee attacks on humans, for example, these animals have completely torn off fingers, parts of the face, and basically anything that can be torn off, including the most important parts. So chimpanzees can hit hard, but they just don't need to. Why bother when they can grab a part of the opponent's body and detach it from the rest of the opponent? Don't forget to add the aggressiveness and cruelty ingrained in chimps by nature. Also, there are documented cases of wars between groups of chimpanzees resulting in the deaths of dozens of animals. It's all about competitive behavior. Among non-human mammals, hostility between groups is pretty common. The difference is that fights between males are just meant to scare each other, not to kill the opponent, but chimpanzees are a horrifying exception. You know, they say cruelty is a trait inherent to humans and animals supposedly can't show it? Well, people who say that have no idea what chimpanzee wars are like. According to YouTube rules, I can't explain in detail what exactly the researchers saw because it's too cruel. I'll just say that the primatologist who studied chimpanzee wars woke up in a cold sweat from what she witnessed.
Hard to watch. It's brutal and disturbing.
And she's not the only one haunted by bloody scenes of chimpanzees killing each other. Many researchers were unpleasantly shocked. They even thought that such behavior was the result of human influence and that chimps usually don't show such brutality. But no, sometimes being lethally brutal pays off for chimps, so it seems like attacking gorillas isn't something to be surprised about. Chimps will do it again. What's more, they're able to not just attack randomly, but to use actual military tactics. It's actually the kind that used to be seen only in humans, all in order to make the right decisions and avoid potentially fatal collisions. How does it look? Two communities of western chimpanzees in Africa head to the mountains to keep tabs on each other. Then they use all the gathered info to figure out when to start a fight over disputed territory. Plus, the high ground helps them spot good conditions and decide if attacking is worth the risk. And yeah, using high ground has been one of the oldest military tactics in human warfare. Not that I'm surprised that chimpanzees figured that out too. Moreover, they know what stealth mode is. See for yourself. Most of the time, chimpanzees are very noisy. Their screams can literally give you a headache. But sometimes it changes. When chimps go to war, they get unusually quiet because they know making a racket in the enemy's turf is a bad move. Well, at least they notice you. So they stay as quiet and sneaky as possible. After surveying the area from a height, the chimpanzee patrol ventures onto it and moves forward, stopping periodically. This is to check out the surroundings for potential enemies. And when such an encounter happens, everything depends on the balance of power. If the enemy turns out to be in the minority during the encounter, the patrol will attack. If not, they'll rush back and probably pretend nothing happened. However, chimpanzees can do more than just reconnoiter and move stealthily. They've been seen making and using tools to hunt mammals. I'm not kidding. Not for gathering fruit or anything like that. Chimpanzees hunt. They modify branches by breaking off one or two ends and then sharpen them with their teeth. When the spear's ready, chimpanzees use it to hunt lesser bush babies, small primates that look like lemurs. And the most interesting part is how they use tools. Chimpanzees jab the spears into holes where lesser bush babies' offspring sleep. Moreover, they do this with enough force to injure their prey. Anyway, scientists point out that calling the tool a spear is a bit of an exaggeration. More likely, chimpanzees use something like a bludgeon to deliver a powerful blow to the animal, and having a point at the end certainly helps, but such a spear probably won't work like a real one, at least not yet. Understanding the concept of weapons and how it makes the blow stronger certainly gives chimpanzees another advantage in their war with gorillas. How will their opponents respond to that? Gorillas are the largest primates alive today, but don't let that fool you. No wonder they were called gentle giants. Unlike chimpanzees, gorillas live and move around in small groups. As for their size, I mentioned it at the beginning of the video, some males can reach a height of 6 feet standing on their hind legs and can weigh up to 500 pounds. Females, of course, are smaller. Of course, with larger size comes great strength. Gorillas are roughly 1.5 to 2 times stronger than humans. The good news for people is that these animals are much more peaceful than chimpanzees and only attack if provoked. Within gorilla groups, fights are quite rare, except for males fighting over females, but even then, injuries are rare. It's all because dominance matters to gorillas, not aggression. In other words, they know they can win, so gorillas don't need to demonstrate this and resort to extreme measures. There are gorilla species that can indeed kill each other, but western lowland gorillas don't do that. Eastern ones, though, they do. Encounters between eastern and western gorillas look like this. Just brief skirmishes. They fight a bit and head off to touch the grass. No extra aggression at all. We also couldn't find anything about gorilla combat tactics or their ability to make weapons. Gorillas just aren't fond of fighting at all. Even their famous habit of males beating their chests with their hands is an attempt to avoid a fight, not a desire to immediately beat someone up. Recently, scientists concluded that the sound of the chest beating depends on the size of the male, which sounds pretty logical. So it turns out males aren't just trying to appear bigger, they're also adding an audio track to make sure other males get scared and there's no fighting. So who would actually win in a gorilla versus chimpanzee war? Well, there haven't been any official studies, but our money would be on the chimps. Yeah, a single gorilla is stronger than a single chimp. I mean, if it's not a war but a one-on-one showdown, the gorilla will probably come out on top. But chimps attack in big groups. They're aggressive, vicious, and clever, so gorillas wouldn't stand a chance. And here's a bit more math. If 27 chimpanzees manage to defeat 5 gorillas, then a group of 150 individuals, which is the largest pack ever recorded by humans, will surely handle 30 gorillas. This, as you understand, is also the largest group ever observed. Also, when chimpanzees fight each other, attacks usually happen only if there's a numerical superiority over the opponents. In other words, chimpanzees can choose the conditions that suit them to come out as winners from any confrontation, to win both the battle and the war. But maybe there's hope for a peaceful resolution. Scientists aren't ruling it out, and here's why. Location: Nuabale Ndoke National Park in the Republic of Congo. Recently, there was a study here showing that chimpanzees and gorillas form friendships that sometimes last at least 20 years. And it's a real friendship where the animals play, eat, and hang out together. Basically, what more do you need for happiness? Young and adult male primates are typically more sociable and curious than other members of their troop. They often seek out specific individuals of other species to play with, sometimes traveling over 1,000 feet alone to do so. Once they find a companion, both primates become very relaxed together instead of being ready to attack. Researchers speculate that friendship might be connected to food, especially figs. Trees bear fruit for just 4 to 5 days. And if gorillas or chimpanzees find ripe fruit, perhaps it's easier for them to get along than to waste energy fighting over these fruits. It's also possible that gorillas and chimpanzees help each other track approaching predators because leopards hunt both of them. There's even a legend about a hybrid of a chimpanzee and a gorilla, though this creature was described way back in the 1800s, and back then no real proof was found. Scientists think that in theory such a hybrid could exist. After all, gorillas and chimpanzees are pretty close genetically. Finished watching? You owe me a like. See you later.